Greetings, Ranger fans. Jake here for another edition of Database Rangers Power Reviews, where we take a look back on our classic episodes of Database Rangers Power Reviews as we count down the 100 weeks to the 100th and final episode. Welcome to everybody coming in. Happy Friday, Rudy. Good to see you. So obviously the big thing going on right now for the channel is the completion of 97. I just wrapped up editing earlier. Hopefully everything's good. I didn't get a chance to, double and triple check everything, but it is currently rendering right now. Good evening, Chris. Welcome, Dyrano. Congratulations on making it on time. Welcome, Jenny. So, here's what happened. I went to render it this morning before I left for work, because it was going to take a few hours to render. And I figured I'd just take care of the sound editing when I got back. But apparently there was a power outage today. Don't know why, just came home to flashing clocks, and I'm like, that's not good. So, unfortunately, it did not complete the render before the power outage. The power outage must have been fairly shortly after I left, because it looked like very little had been rendered while I was out for the day. Hi, Nightwing Josh. Happy birthday to your mom. Hope she's having a good 65th. Yeah, only 2 more days of school. Same for me. Well, 2 more days of classes on my end. We'll have like finals days, and I still have to do my grading and whatnot. But I only got 2 more days of classes left to teach. Welcome, Dan. Welcome, Vandalia. So yeah, I had to. So when I got home, I did the editing that I was planning on doing after I got home anyway. It's just that now I had to do the render after that editing as opposed to before. So a lot of stuff that should have already been rendered before I went through and did the sound pass and the pass for bits of polish, it's just having to render large swaths of things. But we'll wait and see how long it actually ends up taking, because when I started the render at around 6:20, it was saying 9 hours. Now, just over an hour and a half later, it's saying less than 2 hours. So, I don't know what that means for how long it's actually going to take. So, if it does manage to finish rendering before the stream is done, that's a good sign that I could probably still export, encode, and upload before the end of the night. If the render is not done before the end of the stream, I'm going to move the release to tomorrow morning, so that more people can watch it. So that will be 11 a.m. tomorrow. So that's the toss-up. Either it will be a midnight premiere, or it'll be 11 a.m. tomorrow. And I'm telling you guys, this is a long one. This is the longest episode that I've ever made. Did not plan for that. Just happened to come out that way, because I just have so much to say about the episode being reviewed. And, yeah, this one's going to be, I think the current final time is 46 minutes, 46 seconds. Which is just insane. Like, 95 was like such a beast of an episode, and this is somehow like twice the length of 95. So, whoopsie. I made a super long episode that's like double the length of a normal episode. And like double the length of a normal Power Rangers episode. And I don't think that the next 3 episodes are going to be shorter. We've got big episodes for for those final 4, apparently. Welcome back from your vacation, Rudy. I hope you had a good time down in Georgia. Oh, and Jenny, congrats on the prom dress. Hope you have fun with the limo. So that's the current state of 97. I think I've got all the editing in a good spot. Because it is such a long episode, though, I haven't had a chance to really proof check it. But everything's feeling solid. At the very least, what I've been able to go over. So, at some point, you just need to let things go and put it out there into the world, and that's where I'm at on 97. I hope that you enjoy it. There's definitely a lot of emphasis on continuity references in this coming one. Continuity references, character development, and still a few good twists along the way. Um, the last bit of twist towards as we in this episode is a twist that I've had in mind for a very long time, and I don't think anyone has predicted thus far. So I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, just clear an hour of your night or clear an hour of your morning, one or the other. This is going to be 46 minutes, 46 seconds of time. So, with no further ado, let's dive into spending our time on this. And as always, let us not forget our 3 equally non-controversial phrases. So, number 1, say it with me, chat. Black lives matter. Number 2, say it with me, chat. Fascism is bad. And number 3, say it with me, chat. Superheroes are fun, so let us jump in with our favorite superhero, one, Mr. Database Ranger, as we jump in to episode 82 of Database Rangers Power Reviews, our review of episode 35 of Power Rangers Ninja Storm, a gem of a day.
Previously on Power Review. I knew Shadow Architect. There's nothing.
What happened to Mitch and Mary?
They've been partnered with Alphabet Soup. They're not human.
They needed access to my workstation when we were scattered across dimensions. That portal gate is supposed
This was,
home, but not your home. Ours.
and this episode was one that I'd been looking forward to doing for some time. And you can see how we're placing how I place a lot of emphasis on the Morpotzners in the previously on segment, along with the events of the Year 2 finale, and obviously the Year 3 premiere being, the lead into this. It's Year 3 is just such a ride of a year, because we kick off with things right at the beginning. And here we get into our character development. This moment was a moment. This moment was one that I had been planning to have for them for so long. It's just a quiet little moment.
What happened to it? Year 3, 2015.
The Morpotzners having that little moment of consideration of their photo that had been on its end every time that you may have spotted it around their apartment. And this was their moment of actually seeing themselves and having that little glimmer of a remembrance of who they used to be, and just setting the photo back right again. That was a bit of character development for them that I always wanted to have. Now, how do I pick the right episode to review? So, I went back and forth on a lot of my choices for Year 3. It was really tricky to settle down and commit to Year 3, because it's like, okay, these are going to be my final picks from these various seasons, and I'm not going to be able to get to every season because of some of the things that I need to cover for the final episodes. And that's my little lead into Ninja Storm. Invisible Storm, Invisible Surfing.
This is our fault. What are you talking about?
The Morpotzners.
We can't remember. Don't tell me that you have amnesia too. Okay, we won't tell you.
Everybody in this show has amnesia.
The benefit of the doubt because of Mayo's exorcism spell and because of your help with the portal game. The whole reason we invited you here to the party tonight was to get your side of the story. We like stories. I know you do.
The Morpotzners.
How about it?
They're still themselves. They're still the Morpotzners that we've known throughout the show. They're just no longer being swayed by the demon entity that had been controlling their actions up until this point. Now, and it's really very similar to. So my process for picking an episode is very similar to Database's process for picking the episode just now. It's like, okay, what can I do to connect to this current plot? And Gem of a Day, I ended up going with because, I wanted to try and represent as many seasons of the original 17-season run as I could across the 20-episode run of Year 3. And Ninja Storm was able to make the cut, and part of the reason for that was because the first Morpotzners episode, where they reviewed a Power Rangers episode with Database, was a Ninja Storm episode. So it felt apropos for this to also cover Ninja Storm. And Gem of a Day, I felt, was one of the stronger episodes of that season, and it felt like it had the best parallels to the plot right here, specifically with regards to secrets and trust. Okay, that line we heard that makes you hyper. We did so many takes of that line, and they just sped it up and sped it up and sped it up and sped it up every single take. So it's like, we heard that makes you hyper. We heard that makes you hyper. We heard that makes you hyper. So we just kept doing more and more takes of that until we got it faster and faster and faster. And Database is just trying so hard to interrogate the Morpotzners here. This is really sort of the beginning of peeling back the layers of the Morpotzners. Obviously, we learn a lot more about them through 87. And then 95 is when we discover what was actually going on with them this whole time.
Never meant to hurt anyone at all. Healing twice and then tortured me with forced lightning. But we didn't destroy you. Doesn't that count for something?
I love that bit. That's just such a fun. We didn't mean to hurt anyone. You threw me into your ceiling twice and tortured me with forced lightning. We didn't destroy you. Also, this is, again, you see me in front of the window. This is me continuing to film in that empty apartment, months after, like a month after I filmed with them. Basically, if you see any of these characters as we're going through, everything in the apartment for 81, 82, and 83 was filmed at a run. So all of Guy's stuff here, it was filmed the same day that he filmed all his stuff in his seat for 81. And the same day that he filmed all his stuff in his seat for 83. Same thing for the Morpotzners. Everything that you're seeing with them right now was filmed all in one go. Not necessarily with the other actors.
As long as we can remember. So even back when you first invited me over.
And here we establish that the landlord is actually the big bad of the series.
It wasn't some manifestation of my subconscious or my shadow self or whatever else that thing was claiming to be. It was out there long before I saw it.
Also, I've got my hair tucked in the back of my jacket to kind of disguise how long it is at this point. Also, the whole evil twin analog was another good parallel to Ninja Storm, because obviously we have Kia and Kanoi Watanabe in Ninja Storm, in the form of Sensei and Lothlore and Sensei. So I was just always trying to figure out, okay, which episode has some good parallels that I can make use of. Now, Dark Database, he's written as Dark Database here, but this is when I actually start dubbing him the Landlord. The Landlord was not actually what I intended to originally call him. He was going to be called Dark Database. But people in the comments kept referring to him as the landlord because that was how he introduced himself. So, with regards to their connection to the landlord here, they know very little outside of they had a general mission imperative. They were, inhabited by that shred of Darkonda's soul, and that pointed them in the direction of what they were going to be doing. So spoilers there, for those of you who haven't seen 95, which you should by now. But, so they have those little bits of memories of who they serve, but they don't remember the details. They just knew, we need to get a portal open. We need to keep an eye on database. And those were the two main things that they could remember.
Oh, is that where you come from? Yes, no, it's complicated.
So now the other Rangers morph and race it.
And this was one of the things I really liked about playing around with the characters in Morpotzners. The idea of two individuals possessed by a singular entity. And it creates this very confused sense of self. And a tremendous amount of power reviews is about finding your sense of self. Like, that is one of the main themes of the series. Database trying to find his past, Guy having to be an undercover agent, Mayo being in the witness protection program, the Morpotzners being sort of a singular two-person entity. It's like, there was us from here, there was us from there. Before it was here, it was there. All of it kind of does make sense in context once we actually see the events that led to them becoming the way they are. Like, the Morpotzners are very much tragic figures, even though they're very comedic characters in many regards.
What are you talking about? We got rid of the demons, defeated the Omega agents, and even got Alphabet Soup themselves to destroy the portal gate that has started to, of course, the fluctuation in the cross-dimensional continuum. That would be what triggered the temporal storm.
What can you tell us about that? Nothing.
So yeah, a lot of these first 3 episodes is just building up and establishing what the threat of this arc is.
Well, it's something, right? So maybe Kay can do a targeted scan to figure out what's going on? It's not that simple.
I went back and forth for a time on whether or not the Morpotzners would have a means by which to directly contact the landlord. I ultimately decided against it. I love that this is how they give privacy.
How do we know this isn't another trap? Guys, right. Remember the last time you went to Alphabet Soup for them?
Also, one thing that's kind of funny here, that shot of me. So, what we're filming here with Dave, I was filmed at the I think was filmed at the old apartment, but the shots with Mayo, I believe, are filmed here, which is funny. I may be mistaken, but and then that one bit where I kneeled down in front of the TV. That was no longer the TV that we actually had been using. We had received a smart TV for our wedding, but I kept our old TV in storage because it had been seen in previous episodes, and I hauled that old TV out to make sure that we still had that continuity of the set. And I still have that TV somewhere in this apartment.
You see, that's a reference to how Pam went back in time to retrieve his samurai powers, which inadvertently led to Lothor getting banned from the Earth in the first place.
I love how I just use, like, little throwaway lines from episodes to just do a quick deep dive into what the story of that particular season was. It's always fun. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of that in the next episode, for 97.
Meanwhile, on board the ship, the big bad himself checks in with Juba, who claims that Mara and Capri are working on a plan.
Chubo's such a tall character.
Not so subtly tosses some threats at Motortrode's even less subtle spine. I think Sergei had some orders like that once, and look what happened to him.
But yeah, Gem of the Day was definitely one that I had, like, these first few episodes, I very much kept going back and forth on in terms of whether these were the episodes I wanted to cover, or if I wanted to do something that was a little bit of a bigger episode or something like that to kick off the season. And as much as I kept racking my brain, these felt like the right episodes to start the story. They felt like the best fit with the characters of focus and the developments in the story.
Ow. I hate airbats.
And also we have the infiltration of the enemy base, with Guy and Mayo. And at this point, it's just like, sneaking into Alphabet Soup is a recurring trope of Power Reviews. We've sneaked in and out of Alphabet Soup so many times. And I love Guy and Mayo having their own little reconnaissance mission. I think it's just a nice, cute little separate thing for them.
But it's still not enough, and he ultimately is forced to retreat from the ship to go help his friends deal with Condor.
It's less that I'll watch a bunch to decide. It's like I have a very good working knowledge of the episodes. Generally speaking, if I'm watching the episode while trying to make up my mind, it is already basically a lock to be that subject of review. With one exception, 87 actually ended up, because the story evolved in a different direction than I originally anticipated. 87 ended up changing. And several other episodes ended up getting shuffled around. Like, I jumped around a bit between where Leap of Faith was going to go and where Path of the Righteous was going to go in the order, for example. I was originally thinking that Leap of Faith was going to be the rescue mission for K Alpha, and Path of the Righteous would be, and we weren't, and I wasn't originally going to do Path of the Righteous. I was going to do Finding a Friend, or not Finding a Friend, Friends of Forever. The episode where RJ is a werewolf. I'm very tired. Normally I'd be able to recall things, but I've been up for over 20 hours now. I'm very tired. And yes, the air vents are a cardboard box. A series of cardboard boxes that I lay down behind the couch to keep them upright as they're all open in a line, so they don't just flatten out. As far as why do they keep hitting their heads on these vents? Because it's funny. That's the reason. It's a very tight little thing to nudge through.
Ed had some pretty deep emotional reasoning for keeping things private. And even then, he had to make a sacrifice for the sake of the greater good. Yeah. And still had to contend with feelings of betrayal from his younger brother, Aspen's side. Now it's
and he's just trying to also convey concepts of moral complexity to the Morpotzners, who have a very odd sense of morality due to the nature of their existence.
Which, in retrospect, really doesn't make a whole lot of sense as a plan, since it just meant destroying his entire army one by one in order to resurrect
Oh, man.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, man. So you see how there's light coming in the window right now? I forgot that I was there that late. So here's the thing. This isn't like a weekend or something that I'm filming my shots here. Remember, I told you, I had driven there in the middle of the night. At this point, it's like 4 or 5 a.m. It must have been 4 or 5 a.m. that I was filming these shots. And it was starting to get light out through the window. And then I would so after I loaded everything back into the car, I would then drive back to the school to work. So I would get back to the school like 6:37 a.m. Friends Don't Fade Away. Yes, that was the one I was trying to think of. Because the story was going in some different directions at that time. The Time Storm arc ended up being much more prominent than I had originally foreseen. Oh, and they're back. I love the little teleportation lens flare.
That's not always down. What do you mean?
Alphabet soup. All the agents of Alphabet soup.
What? They're all gone.
And cliffhanger. Because of course, pretty much every episode has to end on a cliffhanger at this stage. But yeah, here I'm just kind of doing this piecemeal thing of, okay, we're trying to figure out what happened in the year 2 finale. We're trying to figure out what the overall threat is, and we're getting these little twists due to the temporal storm and everything. And then I feel like these first 2 are really just kind of setting things up for the total shifting of gears for that we experienced in 83. Like 81 and 82, I think are both good solid episodes, but it is a little bit of a slow start for what is a very different season of Power Reviews in many regards. Because we just completely shift locations 3 episodes in. As we'll be discussing next week when I go over 83. But yeah, with regards to choosing the episodes for year 3, I had initially expected to have some downtime on the ship when the characters could just kind of be there and interact. But as I developed the Time Storm arc, I felt like that was a much more dramatic way to explore their backstories and engage in that character development because I hadn't had a chance to touch on those elements of their backstories up until that point. So, like Friends Don't Fade Away was, I believe, going to be focused on all the characters learning to trust one another. And instead of A Brush with Destiny, I was going to do the Potion Notion, which was going to focus on some of the romantic relationships, specifically DB and Mayo and the 2 Morpotzners. But it just, ultimately, when I realized I wasn't having that downtime in the story to just let the characters chill out and interact on the ship, and the train just kept rolling. So I'm like, and so by the time I had written 86, Power of Pink, which is obviously a very dramatic episode, I realized that the story wasn't going into a lull. It was ramping up, and I had to change gears and try and pick a different episode. So I had done the notes for Potion Notion, and I'm just like, I'm not finding the parallels that I need to have. And ultimately I ended up going with Brush with Destiny instead, and that shuffled things around. I'm like, okay, so then Friends Don't Fade Away doesn't feel like it's going to fit. Path of the Righteous is a very strong episode, so maybe I should do that instead. And so that then took the place of what was originally going to be The Leap of Faith, with them doing the rescue mission in '89, which meant that it got pushed. That's how Leap of Faith ended up getting pushed to '95. And then Truth Discovered was originally going to be later as well. So I think I was originally thinking of Truth Discovered being 95, or possibly 94, where you would discover the truth about K Alpha and all of her manipulations. But it ended up feeling more appropriate earlier on, as did Path of the Righteous, and everything just sort of fell into place after I did that shuffle. But it took me a while for me to make that decision. Now, Dyrano, you have a good question there. How is the rendering for 97 coming along? Let me wake up my monitor again so I can take a look. Let's see what happens. Okay, so it is still rendering, and it's still showing me, it's still saying about an hour and a half. So it looks like it's been rendering at approximately the rate it's currently estimating. But that being said, the monitor was off for a while. I don't know if it might have fallen asleep a little bit. So we'll see if it picks the speed back up. Path of the Righteous was 23:23. Okay, so yeah, apparently the episode 97 is going to be approximately exactly twice the length of episode 89. And yes, Truth Discovered ended up getting moved to 88. So I think I was originally going to do Friends Don't Fade Away for 88. And then Leap of Faith for 89. And then it was still going to be Fall of Phantom for 90, and When's a Ranger, Not a Ranger for 91. And then 95 was originally going to be Truth Discovered. So Truth Discovered Potion Notion got changed into Brush with Destiny. Truth Discovered got moved from 95 back to 88. Friends Don't Fade Away got replaced with Path of the Righteous, which got moved to 89. And then Leap of Faith ended up getting bumped from 89 over to 95, where Truth Discovered initially was. So there was definitely some shuffling around in those decisions, which happened right as I was starting to write 87. After I'd written 86, I'm just like, there's too much stuff happening with this time storm right now. I need to follow this through, and I need to change these episodes and what's happening. And we're not going to have that breather time on the ship because we're coming up on 89 and 90, and that midpoint had to be the mission to the Landlord's Fortress. So there was definitely a little bit of adjustment as year 3 was being written. Just like with year 2. Year 2 obviously had some adjustments, as did year 1, as I was uncertain of when the break in the season was going to take place. There's a lot that goes in that went into sort of choosing how the parallels were going to be done, and making sure the stories felt appropriate to the episodes being reviewed. And I feel like we've done a pretty good job of that. I don't think that there's really been any episodes that felt like they fully clashed. I was always trying to find... I feel like I was always able to find something that I could latch on to in the episode being reviewed that could allow for it to connect to the Power Review story. Trickier in some cases than others, but I felt like it generally tended to work out. And I'm able as database to sort of lampshade all those connections and how convenient they are. Oh wow, part 1 and part 2 of Rock is Back are really only 1 second difference. That sounds about right. Oh man, those are both under 17 minutes, dude. Those are both like only 16 and a half minutes. And those are some packed episodes. There's a lot happening in those too. I feel like episodes just moved at such a quick pace back then. And now I feel like I've gotten overindulgent in my old age. I mean, the finale episodes are just going to be massive because I really want to go all out for the final episodes. I felt like we set a very high bar with the year 2 finale, so I'm trying my best to still hit that bar. And considering how long these last 2 episodes have come out, it's getting there. Every now and again, some episodes will just end up running way longer than I anticipated, and usually it comes down to me just getting way too into my expositional monologues, which I have many. Like there's one bit in the upcoming episode where I go off for a straight full minute on a continuity topic, and that was very ridiculous to do. But I'm looking forward to you all seeing 97. Oddly enough, despite it being the longest episode ever to date, I do feel that it is a little bit of a breather from the intensity of the last 2 episodes, even while it is kind of moving things into place for the finale. But yeah, Gem of a Day definitely is less of a game changer than a lot of than a good chunk of the episodes in year 3. I feel like a lot of year 3 kind of bounces back and forth between major game changer, major reveals, and little breather episodes that are just sort of setting the pieces in place. So, like, this, I think, is a good example of mostly a breather episode that's setting pieces in place. And I feel like 97 is another similar kind of situation where it's a little bit more of a breather, setting pieces in place. Definitely some reveals. Obviously, 82 establishes that the landlord is the big threat of the season, and we also get the twist at the end that Alphabet Soup has vanished, which sets us up for the big ship hijacking to happen in 83. But I like probably most of the fun of 82 is the focus on the Morpotzners and getting to dive into them. Yeah, and action ended up running really long just because of the long conversations with the landlord at the end. That was unexpected. There will definitely be new information. When I say breather, I mean mostly more of a breather in tone. I find it to be a mostly fun episode. There will be some feels. There will be some emotions. So that's still there. Just 96 was just such a boom, 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 boom. And so was 95. That was just such a boom, 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 boom. 94. We've had so much stuff in those last 3 episodes. 94 with the reveal of landlord's true identity. We had the culmination of the events on the ship in 95. We have Database's big brawl to escape the landlord in 96. It's just been kind of big drama bomb after drama bomb. But this next one, I think I tried to have a little bit more fun with after leaning so hard into the drama on the last 2. Because I wrote 97. I definitely wrote it in pieces. Like, I wrote what I needed to at the times when I needed to and kind of jumped around a little bit. But I wrote a lot of it after I had started doing these reviews or these live streams and realizing I wanted to get a little bit more fun with my reviews again. Even if my version of fun is just being pedantically over-analytical. Yeah, more of a, yeah, sort of a calm before the storm, because obviously right after 97 we are going into the finale, the 3-part finale. We had 1-part finale for year 1, 2-part finale for year 2, 3-part finale for year 3. Yeah, it's weird that there are only 3 episodes that are under 20 minutes long in year 3. What so it's this one, so it's 81, 82, and what's the other one that's under 20 minutes? Dyrano, what did you want to say about 95? Um, but yeah, it's at this point there's just so much story happening that, and I'm getting into episodes that I really have a deep interest in. So I just have so much to say in every episode. Um, as opposed to a lot of the earlier stuff with Samurai Megaforce, Super Megaforce. In many cases, those are episodes that are much lighter on story. They had a lot of flaws to them, as we've discussed throughout the series. Um, and I didn't have as much to say about them, and there was much less going on parallel to that in terms of story and all these deep conversations about, oh, who are you in truth, what is really going on, etc. Oh wow, Brush with Destiny is under 20 minutes. That's the only other one that's under 20 minutes. That episode is crazy. Um, Brush with Destiny has so much stuff happening in it. Um, I forget. I can't believe that that's one of the shortest. That's the second shortest episode of year 3. Yes, 93 is Frax's Fury. Yes, just a very solid Time Force episode that I felt was a good fit. Um, yeah, I try to kind of lean into thematics when I go about choosing who reviews each episode. Like the Morpotzners seem to align very much with Ninja Storm and Wild Force. Mayo tends to align a lot with the early seasons, Mighty Morphin and Zeo, and and Mystic Force. Um, and then we have Guy leaning into the um, more police style seasons, SPD and Time Force and Jungle Fury, due to his backstory. With Jungle Fury obviously being less um, on the sort of Power Ranger cop themed, and just being more so connected to his origins with Hexagon. Yep, and I can see Gem of the Day is just under 20 minutes. Um, but yeah, it's interesting how a lot of times the ones that are almost more vignette style tend to move at a pretty quick clip. Like 81 and 87, both are constantly shifting between different events. Like 81 is running through um, all the different holidays. So it's like, okay, here's the gag on this holiday. Here's the gag on this holiday. Here's the gag on this holiday. Where in 87, it's all about looking at 7 different character backstories. And so it's like, okay, touching in on this character, touching in on this character, touching in on that character. And they're not having conversations about what's happening. We're just it's lean. Those both lean much more into the show, not tell, which I think is why they move along at a quicker clip. Will 97 give us some reconciliation between Guy and Kay? I will admit that it will be touched upon. I will say that it will be touched upon. I won't say um, I won't say more than that at this time, but I will say that it does get touched upon. Um, yeah, with Brack and Back, Brack is Back Part 1 and 2, was very much in line with doing the Evil Ranger saga, because we had evil Robo Knight in that. And so it felt good and appropriate. Take another look at this render, see how it's coming along. The monitor keeps falling asleep, and it is saying it still needs another hour. Yeah, so I'm guessing that render probably won't be done until probably 9:30 at the earliest, probably a little closer to 10, maybe 9:45. And I can't imagine the export is going to take less than that, and less than an hour, which means that, and then it's going to take a good 45 minutes to encode after the export. So, even if this were to finish in the next hour, and even if I export in the next hour, 2 hours from now is going to be 10:45, and then it's going to take 45 minutes to encode. So, best case scenario, maybe I'd be ready to start the upload at 11:30 tonight, which means that there's not really a chance that I think that's going to be uploaded. A 46-minute video is going to be uploaded by midnight, which is disappointing. I really wanted to get that out, and it really just came down to, we had a power outage. That's one of those things where I can't even, I can't really blame, I can't really, get myself too worked up about that, because that's just so completely out of my control. So I'm not going to beat myself up over it. I know that we've had plenty of delayed premieres before, and in this case, it was not due to failure to have it edited. It was due to the apartment losing power and a process getting interrupted. I believe it should be about 5:45 in California right now, thereabouts. Yeah, Power Pink also moves along at a pretty good clip. Oh, you want to see the Morphonaut armor? See, that's one of those things where, when I created Power Reviews, I did not know about the existence of the Morphonaut, because it wasn't conceived of yet. Now, whether or not you'll get any references to that, we'll see. We will see. That's annoying. You lost power just as the exam was getting started. You would hope that it would lose power at a more convenient time than that. But, that's frustrating. But yes, we will be diving in. I will say that in these final episodes, you will be probably seeing the resolution to any questions that you may have had up until this point, as well as probably a few questions that you didn't think to ask. There's going to be a reveal that I've been joking about for years, coming up. I've much like I've joked about how the apartment was eventually going to get a backstory, and it did. I've joked about a few other things as well, and you will be getting some of those reveals coming up soon. Really, Power Reviews is structured in such a way that you have reveals going on right through to the end. Because there's... I went back and forth so many times on how much I wanted to reveal how soon, and ultimately it really came down to, I had built up so much lore surrounding these characters and their backstories that, I can barely keep up with all the stuff getting revealed in these episodes as I'm trying to make it just to the end. Lumina knows what I'm talking about. So, that would be, around 6:45 Pacific time. Yes, out in California. So, basically, the earliest that I could see potentially starting the upload would be around 11:30 Eastern time, which would be the equivalent of 8:30 Pacific time. So that would be the earliest that the upload could potentially happen. So I don't see it being fully uploaded by midnight on my side of things. I don't see it being fully uploaded, which would be the equivalent of 9 o'clock on the West Coast. It would probably be closer to 1 a.m. on my side, which would be closer to 10 p.m. on out in California, and that's optimistically speaking. So I think that it's probably going to. I think that I'm going to have to make that call, and I'll post it on social media. And once I do start the upload, I'll make sure to set the premiere time as being 11 a.m. tomorrow morning. It feels like a lot of times when I make the announcements for episode premieres, it really is more so, that's the day I'm going to finish the episode, but it's not actually going to be able to come out until the next day, which is always disappointing for me. I always want these to come out in a timely manner. I do try. I have been up for well over 20 hours now. But it just doesn't it doesn't always work out that way, unfortunately. And I have learned to deal with that over the years. I think over the course of a decade of doing this, I've learned to cope with the fact that not everything's going to be done in the timely manner I would like it to be done. Back during year one, that was much more difficult to deal with because I was trying for that weekly schedule. So I was really killing myself over hitting those deadlines during year one. And now that year three has been stretched out as long as it has, it's just like, okay, so this is another one that's going to come out like a day late. There's nothing I can do about it other than just keep on moving forward. I've been noticing that Linkara has been in kind of the same boat. He keeps getting behind schedule in more recent years, and after having been extremely consistent for so long, and it happens. We get older, we get tired, we get a lot of commitments, and there's just only so many hours in a day, and only so much mental capacity you can maintain for hours upon hours on end. Oh, have I seen Top Gun or Top Gun Maverick? I have seen neither. I've never seen the original Top Gun, and I've not seen the new Top Gun Maverick. I'm aware of their, prominence in the pop culture landscape, but I've just never had any particular interest in seeing the movies. I'm sure they're good. I've heard they're good. Maybe I'll see them one day. But I don't think that I'll be catching Maverick while it's in the theaters. I haven't gotten to a point where I'm really comfortable going to movie theaters right now, and I'm also just swamped. Like going out and watching a movie, that's like that is a commitment of multiple hours being away from my computer that could be spent editing so I can finally be done with the series. Because I'm going to be trying to put out 98 and 99 both during this summer. And that is not a reasonable thing for a human to attempt. Because 98 and 99, I'm expecting to both be on par with, if not longer than 97. If 97 ends up being the longest episode of the series, I'm going to be just flabbergasted. But yeah, 98 and 99, there's a lot there. They're much more complex episodes, especially 98 is going to be a very complex episode. And then there'll be episode 100, which is where we gotta tie everything up, and so that's going to also be, I'm sure, a very long episode. That might be the episode to near an hour, because there's just going to be so much to say goodbye to. Yeah, Phantom can't catch a break. Return of the Master's Soul. Was that a Ryusoulger movie or was that a Ryusoulger episode? Because I'm a little fuzzy on the episode titles. For Ryusoulger. For Sentai in general, I don't know the episode titles as well as I know episode titles for Power Rangers. Have I heard of Coca-Cola World? Maybe. I'm not entirely sure what that is. Oh, I'm gonna wiggle that mouse again. Keep it awake. There it goes. I want to make sure the computer doesn't take a nap, as tempting as a nap sounds right now. But yeah, I think it's probably a good time for me to wrap up. I do want to make sure that I post to social media that episode 97 did get delayed due to the power outage, but it is only being delayed by like 12 hours, which I think is reasonable. It's not getting delayed by anywhere near the amount of time that episode 95 got delayed. So, I can feel okay about that, I think. Okay. Oh, okay, so that's the special with the Masters. No, I never saw that Ryusoulger special. I haven't been keeping up with new Sentai stuff as of late, since we stopped doing live reactions. I just haven't been doing a good job keeping up with Sentai. Like, we're currently, like, halfway through Zenkaiger, even though I know that now Dom Brothers is like, halfway done, which is crazy to me. Time has just been flying by, and I've not been able to keep up with all the toku. Speaking of time flying by, it has been nearly an hour, and I think we've gone on quite a few tangents. If you enjoy me going on long tangents, you can enjoy our extra long, like, double-length episode tomorrow. Triple length compared to some of the earlier episodes, really. I know there were some episodes that were that were only 15 minutes from the early days. Nothing that short in year 3 where I really tried to make it more of a full-on TV show to the detriment of my personal well-being. But anyway. Let us wrap things up with our remaining 3 equally non-controversial phrases. So, number 1, say with me, chat, love is love. Number 2, say with me, chat, trans rights are human rights. And number 3, say with me, chat, robots are cool. I can't wait to see him again I can't wait to see him again in a new adventure tomorrow. It's exciting. We have a new episode of Power Reviews coming out tomorrow. That doesn't happen every day. We got the coming out tomorrow. We are halfway through the year, and this will be the 3rd episode released this year, which is phenomenal. 3 episodes left after this to wrap up the series. So much left to be revealed. So please make sure to join me tomorrow for that premiere at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And thank you all for joining me this evening. And until next time, farewell, Ranger fans, and let the power protect you.